Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guys Mo Nawara in the Midwest. Although, are you still in Vegas, Mo? Or are you back?
Still in Vegas, still on West Coast time.
Oh, nice.
Early baseball.
All right. Hell yeah. So we got me and Mo out here in the West. We got Nate on the East Coast, and we are looking at a pretty nice Monday night slate here in the MLB, kicking things off this week with you guys. So I want to make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB regular season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Mo and Nate and company have some great articles and content up there each and every day for you guys, as well as that NBA Finals content we're pushing out for you. So I want you to head to thelines.com, check all that good stuff out. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for Monday night slate. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, this is a juicy slate, fellas. I mean, we couldn't pick enough games to talk about. At least 5 good betting options. Starting with the Braves at minus 135 at Washington. Marlins are plus 116 at Philly. The O's plus 240 at Toronto. White Sox minus 130 at Tigers, with Lance Lynn making his debut there. Pirates plus 160 at Cards. Padres and Yu Darvish minus 130 at Cubs. Astros minus 160 at Texas. Reds are plus 130 at Arizona. Royals plus 150 at Giants. And then the Twins basically in a toss-up, slight underdogs at the Mariners. So, I mean, the first game we talk about here is the Braves on that 11-game win streak. I certainly do not expect it to end tonight. Against Josiah Gray, you have a team that is completely an offense that is boom bust, that is hitting a ton of homers with a 3.71 WOBA over their last 14 days. Still very aggressive with the K rate's come down a little bit to 21%, but low walk rate. But the Braves are going to swing away, and Josiah Gray has not nibbled appropriately, as he's just been extremely homer prone in his career. 18% home run to fly ball ratio, giving up 2.2 homers per 9. This year, a 24% ground ball rate, and actually a higher line drive rate at 25.5 and 13.5% barrel rate, one of the highest I've seen here all season. And lefties are posting a 424 WOBA against him. So again, we kind of look at Matt Olson, Ozzy Albiz for some props there. Ian Anderson going for the Braves here. That's why we have a pretty high total, because he's been a bit shaky, but he's managing contact well, especially against lefties. Just a 14% line drive rate. High walk rate, as we know, against lefties, but that's fine. You can go ahead and walk Juan Soto and then attack the rest of this lineup, which is very underwhelming. And Anderson's been a little better lately. His xERA now down below his ERA, and he's 4-2 on the road with a much better ERA there. The point is, when you have this much run support and this much confidence in the lineup behind you, you can afford to do things like pitch around Soto or be aggressive with some of the worst hitters in this Nationals lineup. And I think that's what Anderson will be able to do. And the Braves here at just minus 130 seem like great juice for a team that's really been the hottest in baseball for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm seeing the Braves as just a NL version of the Jays, really. 2 teams that really disappointed on offense, but man, they've been beating the cover off the baseball lately. And that's just what this spot comes down to for me. I'm projecting these pitchers like pretty similarly. So Josiah Gray, I always want to believe in him because of the strikeouts, but it's still another season of 2 home runs per 9 and 4+ walks per 9. So basically what it comes down to is he's pitching well most of the time, but the mistakes get hammered and there's usually somebody on base. So I think it's just 2 guys here who are going to pitch on opposite sides of their peripherals. Josiah has been worse than his peripherals, and Ian Anderson very, very consistently outpitching his peripherals. And then just the offense and the fielding, massive edges to the Braves. Washington, I think, has the second worst fielding efficiency, and the Braves have maybe the best bullpen, top 5 bullpen probably. Washington's is quite bad. So I think I thought Braves should be closer to minus 150 here. They were, I think, last night, and now the market seems to have really hit Washington overnight. So you can get Braves minus 136 on FanDuel this morning. That's way better than it is anywhere else. I think it's probably worth a play at that price. But if you're finding around minus 150, I think that one's fair. But yeah, really good line out there on FanDuel this morning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a Braves thing. Look, as a Mets fan, 5.5 games up in the NL East. I said it to you guys this morning. I mean, the Braves are winning the NL East. It's just happening. It's just how it goes for us. And this is definitely not the time to pick against them. Ian Anderson continuing to pitch really well. You guys mentioned Gray's pitched a lot better. He's also done that against some pretty bad teams as well, including the Angels, the Rockies, the Brewers, who are all on losing streaks and or at least were at the time. So I do think that even though he's gotten a little bit better, this is another moment in time where this lineup for the Bravos, as we know, third in OPS over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and just continuing on with those balls just leaving the park. So you got to continue to feel good about that. I'll stay away from the total on that one and just feel good about the Braves. Not feel good about them, but at least make money off them while they're beating up the Mets. So let's move on and keep it in the NL East here, guys. We got the Marlins in Philadelphia. Pretty good pitching matchup here. We've got Alcantara and Nola. Like I said, here in Philly, we've got a total of 7.5 runs. Nate, kick me off here. Is this where you start, is with that total?
Yeah, because it's actually up to 8 runs as we speak here at FanDuel, and I will definitely take the under at 8. I would look at the first half line, the under, you're getting only minus 150 for under 4 runs, or for under 4.5 in the first half, but you can go down to 3.5 and get plus 116, which is about where the Marlins are too. I mean, you're looking at Alcantara as the Cy Young favorite at this point. In his last 6, he's given up 1 homer, struck out 46, has a .56 ERA. And he's not particularly vulnerable against the platoon either, which is key here as you go up against the Phillies. 5% home run to fly ball ratio, 17% line drive. Phillies offense has actually been a tick worse at home this season, and less hard contact lately. And they've been beating up on some bad teams lately. So, I mean, now as they go up against a really good pitcher, I don't necessarily expect that Phillies offense to explode. And Nola, I can't find much wrong with his performance. I mean, he's having really the best season of his career. A guy who's underperformed his peripherals, and now it's kind of rounding out with that career best Sierra. His fastball and slider, both 6 runs above average, both career highs there. He's pounding the zone, 70% for a strike, and then getting 65% of his contact outside the zone. Marlins not disciplined. They're at the 8th highest outside zone swing rate, 6th highest ground ball rate. So, and they're worse on the road offensively. So I think he can navigate this lineup. I think Alcantara is going to give up 2 earned runs tops. So I do like the under there, especially in the first half. And for 8 for the game, I will take that under as well.
Yeah, total definitely seems high. These pitchers are awesome. They're projecting for me roughly even again. So kind of similar to the last game, 2 similar pitching projections, but this time we're probably about a run plus better on each of these guys. And yeah, Sandy, once again, he's out pitching all of his peripherals, this time by like a full run. Over his career, he's at like 2/3 of a run. So he's definitely doing something that the peripherals are not capturing. The projections are not understanding here. But yeah, like you said, Aaron Nola has been incredible. 2.75 Sierra. I mean, that is ultra elite territory. You really can't pick apart anything that is in his numbers other than, and this is like not even really him, but he has a 257 BABIP pitching in front of a really poor defense. Honestly, this one just really comes down to the Miami offense. We've talked a little bit like in the last week or so about how hard they've hit right-handed pitching this year. They slipped slightly to 5th, but still obviously really strong. While the Phillies are like barely above average so far, which when I'm looking at this lineup doesn't make any sense to me. If this is how these teams perform going forward, then Miami plus 120 is pretty good value, I think. But I'm regressing these teams in opposite directions, I guess. Like I'm expecting the Phillies to be a better offense than Miami going forward. I would guess when you look at these lineups, you have to. I mean, the top of the Phillies lineup just full of star hitters, and Miami Jazz is amazing. I think maybe a future MVP, but other than that, I'm not like super excited about any of these names. So I think it's fair on the money line, but if you really believe that Miami's hitting against right-handed pitching is to their true talent level, then they're probably good value at plus 120.
Yeah, I think I lean under also and stay away from it just because, I also, you've got the Marlins hitters not really hitting that well on the road. That's a big actually split right there for them. Pretty big disparity. They're not pitching particularly well against NOLA. I mean, both these lineups have their key hitters, as you kind of talked about, some of those key guys for each lineup, Mo. I mean, none of them really have great numbers against the opposing pitcher, just looking at their career history here. So 7.5 feels good. You might even consider that no run first inning as well. If you guys think these guys are going to come out pretty hot, both these guys have pretty good records to that no run first inning. So a possibility of getting 6 quick outs there and feeling good about that as well. But either way, I think, under is a bit more of the play. And if you do think it is as even as Mo does, then, you are getting that juice and that boost there for taking Miami. So let's finish things here, guys. In the West, we move into Seattle. The Twins really hot on offense right now, taking on those Mariners. A total of 8.5 runs. We've got the Chris's on the mound, Chris Archer and Chris Flexen. Not exactly world beaters here. You probably are going to get a short outing there from at least Chris Archer, as we know at this point in the season, after we've seen him pitch roughly 10 or 11 times already and really fail to get past even the 5th inning at best. So tell me what you like in this one, Mo. As we say, we got Twins are pretty much even on the money line here.
Yeah, so I'll just toot my own horn real quick and say I got Twins plus 115 last night, but unfortunately for everyone else, I think the market has fixed this line. I'm seeing some minus signs out there now. 2 roughly equally bad pitchers again here, but for me, just a much better offense on the Twins side. As long as they don't bench Buxton and Correa, I don't know what happened with that, but yeah. When I look at these lineups, I'm much more believing in the Twins lineup. The numbers are, again, pretty close, but I just expect the Twins to be quite a bit better going forward. And that also does reflect some no Buxton games, which, considering he's been like top 5, top 10 player in the world so far, is a pretty big deal. And yeah, it's interesting when you look at Archer. I've talked about how I like how the Twins are using him. But this is a really interesting matchup for him because he basically throws 2 pitches, really, really focused on his slider because that's been really his only good pitch in his career. And he's leaning all the way into it, which I like quite a bit. 44% this year. So he's throwing more sliders than fastballs. Seattle hasn't been good against sliders. So they're 23rd in pitch value against sliders. However, they are pretty great against 4-seamers, and Archer's 4-seamer stinks. So I think a lot of this is going to be kind of game plan and execution dependent on Archer's side. If he throws maybe even over 50% sliders here and he's able to execute the fastballs he does throw, I think the Twins are in good shape here. I've talked a lot about how bad I think Flexen is. He's down 1.2 miles per hour on his fastball. I mean, he already has a 4.74 career ERA. So I think the projections that think he's like a 4.5-ish ERA are probably overselling him a decent amount. So I do have these pitchers about even and just way more believing in the Twins offense. So I like the Twins at anything like plus 105 or better, I think is okay.
Yeah, I agree. But I also like the over here. Mariners, as you mentioned, the best offense against fastballs, pretty bad against sliders, but they also have the second best weighted runs created plus and a high walk rate at home. So, I mean, if Archer is just going to do what everyone expects and just throw a ton of sliders, I mean, maybe they're able to lay off that and pile up some walks. I mean, Archer does continue to outpitch expectations because they yank him before anything bad can happen. But the hard contact is way up there. The stuff is not there anymore. His fastball does rate -7. So, I mean, then we're working against Twins middle relief, and the Mariners offense has been that boom bust that we look for, especially when they're favored, they're 13-8 to the over, and when the Twins are road dogs, they're 8-3 to the over as they come back right back. We just saw them slug it out with the Yankees. Flexen, I completely agree, just not good at all. Low swinging strike, low called strike, and high exit velocity. So, and then the Twins are third in hard contact on the road, so that's why we expect some back and forth here. And at 8.5 runs, this one I lean over for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just following Mo's game theory. If you lean over and you look at the two lineups, I don't mind, that Twins bullpen really against the Mariners. They've been pretty good over the last few weeks, especially. But either way, I think the Twins are my play as well. Looking at those lineups, I think that's just where you get the value with the equal sort of crappy pitching that we're going to probably see, even from Chris Archer, who his ground ball rate is down, and I think that's reason to believe more runs will be scored against the man. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us as we are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.